millions of us still see the American flag as a symbol of freedom, of excellence, of liberty, and of sacrifice. Now, apparently the good book and the flag are under attack. So I ask, burning the Bible and the flag, are you ready for more of this? Now look at this video of Minneapolis. Minneapolis was once a beautiful American city. Look what Portland, Minneapolis, and Seattle used to look like. I mean, these cities were glorious, beautiful. Portland, Minneapolis, Seattle. Now look what culture change is doing to these shining American cities on the hills. Again, I ask the question, are you ready for your city to be the next Portland, Minneapolis, or Seattle? Look, I'm a pragmatist. If that's what you people want, if that's what the American people want, then by all means vote for more of that. But crime is the toxic byproduct of culture. The amped up cultural revolution is demanding cities defund their police departments. That's what today's culture is demanding, but there is fallout. The intended or unintended consequences are staggering. Homicides are soaring in cities from New York to LA and many places in between. In Chicago, homicides are up 50% this year. New York City has seen a 72% increase in shootings this year, and in July, shootings rose 177% compared to the same time last year. In Minneapolis, homicides have doubled in 2020. So I ask, burning the American flag, burning the Bible, once glorious cities now burning, murder rates skyrocketing, are you ready? If you don't stand up to the toxic cancel culture, the destructive mobs running rabid in our streets, and the politicians standing on the sidelines while America burns, then I'd say you're ready for the next chapter in American culture, politics, and life. If not, you better speak up, or before you know it, boom, this is what's coming to a city near you. I am very excited about this next guest. He hosts the Hannity Show at Fox News, and this week he released his brand new book, Live Free or Die. Sean Hannity, my good friend.
By the way, doesn't it look better this way? I missed my face.
Right there.
It's like when I put my mask on. When I put my mask on, Eric, I look so much better. Hey, thank you for having me. We worked together all these years, and we've stayed in touch. And I got to give you some praise before we talk anything about me. Is you went through a personal tragedy, and then you took the worst hit that anybody can take in life, and then you turned it into something you once said to me, it can happen to you, it could happen to everybody, to help save other people from all of the pain that you and your family went through. And I admire what you've done. I've been at events that you've hosted. It's so important what you're saying there, and I know you got the First Lady to join you in a number of them. It is vital, it is critical, the things you're saying, also critical to stop the 90% of heroin crossing the border. They've now literally captured enough fentanyl that would kill every man, woman, and child in this country 5 times over. It is so scary.
You know, Sean, I got to say thank you for that, but also thank you in the midst of that, at some of the darkest times, you said, let's go tell your story, and you brought me on the radio show, and you know, you made the phone calls. When I tell you I love you, Sean, I love Sean Hannity. His heart is this big.
Feelings mutual.
The book, Live Free and Die.
I
want to talk about the book, but first, Sean, can we just talk about the media? What's going on in the media? We have a president here who's trying to get reelected, and the media. There's a blurred line between news and opinion. We all know Sean Hannity, Eric Bolling. We live on the opinion side, but what's happening in the news side of the business? Let's just say MSNBC, CNN, they're doing very well on their ratings in the news side. You guys are kicking butt, Fox, on the opinion side. But what's happening in news?
You know, can I just, and this is just two friends talking here. I can tell you what I do. I'll just give you what I do for a living. Sure, people know me for my strong opinions. I've been on Fox 25 years, my 33rd year in talk radio. Eric, I am a talk show host. I am a member of the press. I don't say I'm a journalist. I'm not a journalist. What I am is a talk show host. I can produce thousands of hours of TV and radio of straight news, just no opinion. Here's the news of the day, maybe natural disasters, war, or just general issues, I just give it to you straight. We've done Hannity investigative reports. We vetted Obama when the media stayed away from that. They had an obligation to do it for the American people. They wouldn't touch it. I spent 3 years exposing this deep state abuse of power and corruption, vindicated completely, and I think more vindication is coming, while the media mob and the Democratic Party, they were lying, smearing, slandering, besmirching, all the character assassination, advancing conspiracy theories and hoaxes. That's, Eric, we're the exception. That was the 99%. So I do straight reporting. I do investigative reporting as part of my work. I do opinion, obviously. And then we talk about fun stuff, you know, maybe football or whatever, cultural issues. We're honest with what we do. What we do is honest.
Let me ask you this, and this came up this week. There's a lot of us, I believe, that Joe Biden is trying to figure out a way not to debate Donald Trump on stage. Brian Stelter from CNN says, hey, that's ginned up by the right-wing media. Now, okay, I'll get you, blame me or call me right-wing media. However, the same week he says that, the New York Times, CNN themselves also both wrote stories about how it would be good, it wouldn't be a bad thing for Joe Biden not to be on that same debate stage. So how disingenuous can it be to point the finger at right-wing media, look at these the guys on the screen here, when their own companies are actually putting that stuff down?
Well, it's simple. They lie. I mean, it's that simple. Listen, imagine if either of us, in the course of our daily work, and we admit part of our job is opinion. We're very clear. We don't hide it. Straight on honest. Imagine if we, for 3+ years, lied about a Russia conspiracy hoax with Joe Biden, Barack Obama, whoever it happened to be, and we were wrong, and we were proven wrong. You know what would happen. I mean, they'd be calling for our firing every other day. You know, they never talked about Hillary's violation of the Espionage Act. They never talked about subpoenaed emails, deleted, bleach bit hammers. They never talked about her dirty Russian disinformation dossier. The New York Times probably came the closest of any when they said, yeah, it was probably likely Russian disinformation from the beginning. They're not going to talk about the danger of people abusing their power. I always say the 1%, the deep state, as we call it, those within, you know, the most prestigious premier law enforcement agency in the world, our FBI, but only 1%, and our premier intelligence in the world, the fact that they spied on an American president, they lied to a court. We know that they were warned that the information they were presenting to the FISA application that on the top says verified, they didn't verify a thing, but they were told not to trust it. And even when they did it the first time they had been warned, by the time they got to the third point, they had already interviewed Christopher Steele's sources who said, no, none of this is true. This is like bar talk. We never expected it to be used anywhere. Did they ever apologize? They dragged this country through hell for 3 years. Just like, you know, here's how crazy and hypocritical you have to be. It's breathtaking hypocrisy if you're a liberal Democrat or a member of the media mob. So you want to impeach Donald Trump for a phone call that we all read with President Zelensky. The one fact witness, there was only one, said, well, what did Donald Trump say? I want nothing, no quid pro quo. He actually used the words. But to get there, you have to ignore the guy that's now going to be their favorite candidate, who's on tape bragging about the fact that, you're not getting the $1 billion, meaning our $1 billion, we, the people's $1 billion, unless you fire the prosecutor that's investigating my zero-experience son Hunter, who's being paid millions of dollars, and you got 6 hours to do it. And son of a B, they did it. Now, that's the real quid pro quo. That's how corrupt they are. They don't care about the truth. They've got an agenda. It is the biggest obstacle that Donald Trump is facing, you know, as we now are in the 3-month march towards this election. I think it's a tipping point election, the most critical in our lifetime. You know, the optimistic side of my book, live free or die. We can continue to be the greatest country God gave man. We can continue free market capitalism that has created a wealth and a standard of living, the envy of the world, and also you know, look at America. You know, we have advanced the entire human condition all because of liberty and freedom. At the bottom, Erica, it's in Latin, it says, live free or America dies. If the policies stated by the ever confused, and we've got to deal with this. What's going on up in that brain is freaking me out a little bit and should scare everybody. But the stated policies of Joe Biden, what he says he'll do, he's adopted Bolshevik Bernie's
let me do
socialism.
This. Handy, let me do
this.
This.
Plagiarized it.
Let's take a listen. Let's take a listen. We have a soundbite of Joe Biden when asked whether or not he was going to take a cognitive test. Watch how he responds.
Have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
So there he is, Sean. There's the guy who wants to be...
You want to know what makes it funnier? He said in an earlier interview, like a month earlier, he said, I take those tests regularly. Of course I've been tested cognitive. Of course I have. I get tested regularly. And I'm like, okay, here's the sad part. He probably forgot what he said. Now, we don't see him a whole lot. And every time we do see him, there's usually some hiccup, right, from him. But you know, it just cracks me up. But on the other hand, you know what? He's got the entire media establishment Democratic Party behind him. And he's done 2 press conferences in like 140 days. Eric Bolling, that should send chills up and down the spine.
Well, Sean, I want to see
American.
I want to see the debate. I want to see the man stand up, go toe to toe with President Trump, and see what he has, whether or not he has lost a step or not. Sean, I don't have a ton of time. I want to have some fun with you. Can we do this? We have a little fun here. You got a minute?
You do whatever you want. What
is Hannity? First of all, for the record, we've been on the air in a year and a half now. I've had O'Reilly on. I've had Megyn Kelly on. Why does it take one of my best friends in the world a year and a half to get on my show? I'm not sure. What is Hannity? My audience wants to know. What does Hannity listen to on his playlist? What does Hannity do in a day?
Oh, you want that question? Okay. I've always been a huge country music fan. I really have. You know, lately, as I've gotten older a little bit in life, I was raised Catholic. I went to 12 years of Catholic school. I've really gotten into more Christian contemporary music more than I ever thought I would. If you ever watch the videos, Michael W. Smith is a great friend of mine. We did concerts together to raise money for the military. He's been so generous in my life. They got this church called Hillsong Church. It was started in Australia. What's amazing when you watch the videos are all of these young people. The music's phenomenal, with meaning. If you believe, like I do, I'm a Christian. You know, God so loved the world, he sent his only begotten son, Jesus. I believe all that. And I listen to this music, and I find that it kind of pulls me out of this world, at least for a little while. You got to admit, the world of news and politics, this is a blood sport. This is a daily war. And a lot of these people play to keeps, but that brings me a certain peace. So I like country, I like Christian contemporary. I'm not a big classical. I like all old rock that I grew up with.
Me too, Sean.
Like that too.
Me too. You can't pull Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, and the Who out of Bowling. But listen, are you going to run for elected office?
You know what? You ever see the movie A Gladiator? I did this the other night on a podcast, just having fun. The worst part is like movies like, okay, Gladiator, Braveheart, Passion of the Christ. I watched them over and over again because they moved me. And I remember when Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, says to General Maximus, do you not accept this great honor? In other words, when I die, I'm going to empower you to restore Rome to its great self. And he goes, with all my heart, no. If you're a friend of mine, Eric Bolling, don't ever ask me if I want to enter politics, because with all my heart, no. Because
that's a yes.
I'll
take that as a definite maybe.
That's not a yes.
I'll take that as a definite maybe. Hannity, I used to fill in for O'Reilly and Hannity. They used to come up against each other. Right, one led into the other. Right. What a different experience that was. I was doing it simultaneously sometimes, like in the same week. It was just wild, the different shows. How is it? Bill's gone, left a big void. You filled that void. Tell us a little bit. I've got a minute and a half or so. Tell us about Fox and what's going on at Fox Primetime. You still are the anchor there. You're the most watched cable news show in history.
Look, I honestly, Eric, I can't believe that I survived this long. I'm not going to lie. When I started my radio journey, all I know is this red light went on and all this stuff comes flying out of me. And I was like, wow, I found my passion. And I actually, you know, I was terrible when I started, but I loved it. Awful. Run out of town, deservedly so. I got my first job in Huntsville, Alabama for 19 grand a year in 1990 after I started in 1987. And I never, ever dreamed I'd be this blessed. And I look at the fact that I can be on radio 3 hours a day, Fox 1 hour a night. I feel blessed. I'm grateful. I'm humbled. You know, people immediately put the book at #1. I didn't write it to be #1. I wrote the book as a call to a nation, all hands on deck, because in 3 months, we're going to hear these words. We can now project. How do you want it to end? That Donald Trump's been reelected the 45th president of the United States like I do? Or Joe Biden, the confused, the corrupt won the 46th? Everything is riding on it. Yeah. The biggest, greatest choice election in history. And I will tell you, it is America and the world on the brink. The subtitle of Live Free and Die. Yep. It's on Hannity.com, Amazon.com. But it is the definitive guide. I want everyone to know what's at stake, what's made America great, what the Democrats are trying has been tried before and failed. These are promises that will never be fulfilled. Look at Social Security, Medicare. Yep. Look at Obamacare. Yep. Look, they can't even keep people safe in cities.
Sean.
And then the other side of it is we have another vision, and that's the Trump vision that worked, and it is working, and will work again.
Let me do this, guys, because I ran out of time, but I want the book, Live Free or Die, #1 on Amazon immediately. It'll go right to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. Sean Hannity, it took 10 years to write another book. Get this book. Go out and get this. Get this. Absolutely give it to your friends. Sean, one quick story. I've been with Sean 100 times at dinner. Every single time a check comes, he grabs it. You can't fight Sean for that check. And guess what he does? He leaves the biggest. This man you're looking at right there has a heart the size of Cleveland. Thank you, Sean. Sean Hannity, Live Free or Die.
You know why I do? Because I was a dishwasher, and my father was a waiter, and my mom was a prison guard. That's why.
Sean Hannity, everybody. Live Free or Die. Thank you, Sean.
Eric, you're a dear friend. Thank you so much. Congrats on all your success. I know you're doing great where you are, and we need to see each other more often.
Okay, brother. Thank you. Now I'd like to bring in Congressman Devin Nunes from California. Welcome back, Congressman. Good to talk to you. You know, big tech is all over the news. We're talking about TikTok. We're talking about Microsoft. We're talking about China. How do you see this?
Well, I think you have to break it down in a couple different categories. The first being TikTok, which is owned by, it's a Chinese company. There's a lot of concerns over what the Chinese could be doing with our children's data. And I say children and young adults because those are most of the people that are using TikTok. They're able to track everything. And I think all Americans should be concerned about what happens to that data. Now, the same thing holds true, I will say, for the other tech companies, Google, Twitter, Facebook, et cetera, except those are American companies, so there would be no evidence that those are going to a foreign adversary. But we do have to be concerned that big tech is censoring people, censoring conservatives, and tracking our every move. And so I think going into this next election, Eric, we've talked about this several times on your show, people have to be very concerned whether or not they're getting the truth. So when people just say, hey, let's Google it, or let's look it up on Wikipedia, that's a really, really dangerous step for one to take, because you have to understand there are people behind that. This is not a free, open public square. It is a heavily regulated square, heavily censored square. All the people that are behind building those algorithms, the leadership of those companies are against Republicans and against conservatives, and they're not letting the truth get out. So that's how I juxtapose kind of the difference between TikTok and those problems, which that has to be reined in, and then the big tech problem that we have here in the United States.
Congressman, and I don't know this answer. I've been covering this for the better part of a decade. I know you can opt out of Facebook, Twitter, or you don't have to Google something, but that's almost unrealistic, almost impossible in today's day and age. And I also know they data mine just about every every keystroke we make. Now, the question is, we know they're using that to market to other companies, so whomever, Facebook or any of them, even Snapchat. They'll see what you're looking up, they'll see what you're doing online, and then they'll go sell it to corporations that are in the business of selling their stuff to you, the consumer. I get that. Is there any legal firewall that these companies, these U.S. companies, social media companies, aren't selling that data to, say, the Chinese government or other adversaries?
Well, nothing stops them, and that's one of the problems, is that Facebook and others have actually been limiting what people that are in the political arena can do, when they can advertise, how they can advertise, et cetera, et cetera. But nothing stops them from selling that data to anyone else, including our foreign adversaries. Or, likely what wouldn't happen is the Chinese wouldn't call up and say, hey, Facebook, give us all your data. What the Chinese would do is they would have a front company that works within a U.S. company that would buy the data from Facebook and then take it back to China. And look, I think this is the overall problem that you're getting at. Congress carved out a special loophole back in the mid-90s so that the internet could be developed, so that you didn't have a bunch of lawsuits coming against people who at that point nobody understood what was going to be developed, how we would all be connected via social media. At that time, people thought, oh, it'll just be one email going to another person's email.
Right.
Nobody foresaw all of this that would happen. And that's going to be the overall concern. It's the selling of the data, and it's the censorship, Eric, especially of conservatives, when you have people that are controlling what can enter into that public square. And I feel that it's really up to the courts. The courts have got to step in. The judicial branch of government has to understand this is never what the Congress intended to do.
Right.
And the challenge we have now is the Democrats. They'll act like they have a big stick, but the truth is they just have a twig. They always are threatening these big tech companies just to ensure they continue to go after Republicans and censor conservatives.
Congressman, we're having a little fun here today. We would like to ask you, and very quickly, we don't have a lot of time, just very quickly, Joe Biden is talking about picking his VP candidate. Give us very quickly a couple of names who you think he should pick and who you think he will pick.
Well, look, if you believe the news, which is very difficult to believe that, it's down to Kamala Harris, who is a senator from my state, a first-term senator. I don't know what experience she has to be vice president of the United States. She's been a very ineffective senator. So, that'd be a great choice in terms of, from my perspective, as somebody who doesn't think that Biden's up to the task at this point because of, just his age. And then the other one is Susan Rice. I mean, oh my God, Susan Rice has lied numerous times, whether it be about Benghazi, whether it be about the Russiagate hoax. I think that would be a godsend if he picks either one of those. Probably Susan Rice being the worst of the two.
We're going to leave it right there, Congressman. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Eric.
Straight ahead, he's the founder and editor emeritus of the Daily Wire. My interview with Ben Shapiro is next. Each week we invite the Biden campaign on this show, and each week we get no response, not even just to say no. Mr. VP Biden, our invite stands for you or a representative to come on this show. We'll do whatever it takes.
America, one nation, from Florida to St. Louis to Seattle. America This Week, America's fastest growing political show, delivers facts, not falsehoods.
Well, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I appreciate the opportunity to clear some of it up.
Hard-edged opinions.
We can no longer rely on China to be the primary producer of so many critical products that we need in a time of crisis.
Tough topic debates.
Has the mainstream media vetted Joe Biden the way they vetted others on the right?
I just believe that all women have the right to speak their truth and that those truths should also be investigated. The end, regardless of what political party they are a part of.
America This Week reveals the topics and issues that pulse throughout America. Fighting COVID-19.
We're working with every single state to be able to detect outbreaks before they spread into the community.
And the path forward.
Getting back to some degree of normality, that will come. We will get over this.
America This Week investigates chaos at the southern border.
Go, 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 go.
The poisoning of America.
It's in the soils. It's in the water. and it's in our blood.
Toxic chemicals linked to multiple cancers found in towns across America.
We were poisoned, and we are still poisoned.
Almost every day, there is a new community that is finding out that their water is contaminated.
America This Week relentlessly seeks the truth on your behalf.
I'm Eric Bolling. Join me for a fascinating look at America This Week. Joining me now is the editor emeritus for the Daily Wire and author of his new book, How to Destroy America in 3 Easy Steps. Very popular online and elsewhere. A good friend of mine as well, Ben Shapiro. Welcome to the show. Ben, I want to start with the debates. I see Joe Biden is now backing away from actually accepting the nomination in Wisconsin. Do you think this is a precursor to him stepping away from the debate stage?
He doesn't seem like he wants to finally step away from the debate stage, but it wouldn't be completely shocking. I mean, he's been able to run this entire campaign without leaving the basement. And I think that that's actually a pretty good strategy for him. I mean, he's leading in the polls by 10. He's basically made the issue President Trump. And so long as he can keep the focus on President Trump, he'll be able to escape any scrutiny. So the minute he leaves the basement, he's subjected to questions. He doesn't like those questions. You saw him get very, very testy today when asked whether he had taken a basic mental aptitude test, and he stumbled over his own words in even answering that question. So and there's a lot of risk to him in leaving the basement. You know,
So I'm assuming he's hoping for the ability to stay in his basement to debate Trump, so we'll do a virtual debate, because I'll never forget Trump versus Hillary. That was a moment on that stage when he said, yeah, because you'd be in jail, and that was a point, it was a mic drop moment. Do we eliminate those? Can we see the real Joe Biden, his mental aptitude, if he's fit to be president of the United States, if we do a debate from his basement?
I don't think so. I mean, it comes along with some inherent risks, namely, for one, that if he's doing it from his basement, presumably you could theoretically pipe answers into his ear, which is sort of a problem. I think he eventually will end up holding a debate with Trump. I think it'll probably be in person. But Trump is at a bit of a disadvantage if the in-person debate doesn't have a crowd. Trump is a showman. He loves the crowd. The crowd responds to Trump. Trump is essentially a stand-up comedian. And when you watched him in debate, the reason that he defeated Hillary Clinton was because so many of his lines were laugh-out-loud funny. I mean, the man's sense of humor really comes out when you have the laugh track, a public that is resonating to him. If it's an empty room, that really does benefit Joe Biden. You saw this when he was with Bernie Sanders. When it was a full room for the debates, then he was in a bit of trouble. When there was an empty room, he did a lot better against Bernie Sanders because the crowd wasn't there to sort of prop up the other candidate.
You know, Ben, on another topic, Senator Cruz chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he was talking about the violence in Portland and Antifa, and he pointed out to the Democrats, none of them, the members of the Senate Democrats on that committee, subcommittee, were able to criticize Antifa. None of them were willing to. Mazi Hirono from Hawaii got up and walked out without even mentioning it when Cruz put it in her lap. What is the pushback to why won't the Dems condemn Antifa?
Well, I think that they see Antifa as sort of the fire in the belly. And they see the campus left as the fire in the belly. And the assumption for many of the Democrats, the top-level Democrats, was that they would be able to sort of capture the energy that you see on campus with the woke left, and then they would channel it in a better direction. And it's becoming increasingly clear that once you have that fire, the fire is going to eat everything. And that's why you're seeing people like William Lacey Clay ousted in his own congressional race. It's why you saw Elliot Engel ousted in his congressional race. It's why you're seeing the radical left primarying people, the Justice Democrats primarying people and winning. It's why when President Trump suggests that Joe Biden is going to be a vehicle for the radical left, he's right. I mean, I don't see Biden as providing any sort of serious obstacle to the radical left if the radical left really starts to push. You saw this with Nancy Pelosi, too. Last year, there was that bit of a dust-up between Pelosi and the squad, and that immediately was curtailed, and the squad basically took control of a lot of the agenda items in the Democratic Party. Pelosi's moved radically to the left, even over the course of the last 18 months.
Is the radical left going to take over the Democrat Party? Is that the future of the... And by the way, what happens to the right? Does the right have to push further right to the fringe?
I don't think the right has to push further right. I think the idea there would be that as the radical left pushes the Democrats to the left, the right might have a shot at the center. I mean, that at least would be my hope. I think that there's going to be a liberal reaction to the radical left. And you're starting to see that build. I mean, that Harper's Weekly open letter with 158 people on the sort of moderate left saying that cancel culture is bad. That was highly controversial in Democratic circles. More and more, I'm seeing people who are sort of normal, run-of-the-mill liberals who may disagree about tax rates or about the role of the government in medical care starting to recognize that the radical left is deeply dangerous. My hope is that that will provide the basis for some sort of new coalition, or even if we don't all agree on some of those basic matters, we certainly all agree that cancel culture is a bad thing.
Well, we would agree. I'm not sure that the squad and that radical left would agree. I think that's what they thrive on, and that's what they fundraise on. So let's talk about the squad. Do you see them becoming more prominent in the party?
We're starting to see that now. So in 2018, the Justice Democrats endorsed a whole slate of candidates, and pretty much everybody lost. And now you've seen, just in the last couple of months, a couple of long-time Democratic Congress people. I mentioned Elliot Engel in New York and William Lacey Clay in Missouri. William Lacey Clay is a 20-year veteran of Congress. His father was one of the founders of the Congressional Black Caucus. He's part of a political dynasty over there. And he was ousted by the Justice Democrat. Rashida Tlaib just won her re-elect effort in her primary, so did Ilhan Omar. So the kind of threat from the moderates to the radicals obviously is not serious at this point. Now, part of that might just be that the radicals are really enthused thanks to President Trump's presence on the ballot, thanks to the huge protests that we've seen in the streets. Maybe the Democrats start to gain more of a whip hand over the squad as Joe Biden becomes president. But I somehow doubt it. It seems like when you have a change of administration, the most organized force tends to take the most control, and the most organized force in the Democratic Party right now is the most radical.
All right, Ben, we're going to leave it there. Before we go, we've been doing this all day. Let's talk a little bit very quickly. Just need a one-word, two-word answer. Who should Vice President Biden pick for his who should Biden pick for his vice president nominee, and who will he?
He should pick Amy Klobuchar. He's going to pick Susan Rice.
There you have it. Ben Shapiro, thank you very much for your time. Baseball is back. Basketball is back. Things look a little bit different. Let's bring in Sinclair political commentator Amisha Cross and member of the President's National Security Education Board, host of America First on Salem Radio, and Sinclair media contributor Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Amisha, I want to start with you. Standing for the national anthem now during the pregame for the NBA and baseball is now akin to what kneeling for the national anthem was in years past. Is it offensive, Amisha, to stand for the national anthem?
I don't think that it's offensive at all. I also believe that people have their own personal choices when it comes to how they feel about the words in the anthem, not necessarily matching up to the way this democracy looks for people of color specifically. Personally, I've always stood for the anthem, but I also have absolutely no problem with people kneeling or choosing not to stand, because I think that they are making a political statement, and we are, again, in a free country where we're allowed to do those things, and I don't think they should be castigated either.
And Sebastian, some of the players, a handful of basketball players who stood for the national anthem and a baseball player so have taken a lot of heat on social media for doing so. It just things have really changed in the course of 6 months.
It's pathetic. It's actually disgusting, Eric. When our brave men and women die overseas, keeping this nation safe, they come back home and their casket is shrouded in our flag. They die for what that flag represents. That flag doesn't have a color. It's not black. It's not white. That flag doesn't have a political party. It represents this nation. And if you want to make a political statement, fine. Run for office, get on a soapbox somewhere, but you are there to entertain America and you're there to play a sport. Coach Ditka was right. You do that, you get benched. That's the way it should be. Some things are above politics. I think sports should be one of them. And look at ESPN, look at the ratings. They are tanking. The more political they get, the more the American people say, basta.
You know, Amisha, listen, I think the ratings will play out over time. We'll take a look back and see if this was good for business or bad for business. It may not matter to a lot of these networks. I'll tell you that if there's social change that needs to happen, it's going to happen whether or not. I'll give you an example. Nike decided to back Colin Kaepernick, and they did, and it was very good for them for a very short period of time. Now they're laying off several thousand people in their headquarters. So at what point do these businesses say, okay, now I have to look at the bottom line. After all, they do answer to their shareholders, not to the social media crowd.
Well, Nike's situation, and it's interesting you brought it up, is more of a reflection of what's happening economically across the board because of COVID-19, not a reflection of there being an anti-protest movement that's going on and that affecting Nike as a whole. I think that, businesses, obviously, their shareholders are their first priority. But beyond that, when you have such a large market share of people who are largely from urban centers, who are largely, we're talking about football and basketball, over 70% of the players happen to be African-American males. So when you're looking at those numbers, and those are the people who are by and large willing to put their names and their careers on the line in many cases in taking a stance, I think that says something that an organization has to listen to.
Yeah, I'll get to you, Sebastian, 1 second. Yes, true that on some of these sports leagues, there is a majority of African-American players, but not viewers, Amisha. I mean, the viewership is still widely, let's be honest, it's widely white. Look, here's the reason why I ask this. I'm a financial, I'll call it a purist. I really don't care about color. I care about the bottom line, and that may sound callous and cold, but for businesses, I hate boycotts. It just drives me crazy, especially when it's going to be boycott. Don't boycott the NBA or the NFL because they have Black Lives Matter on the field or on the court. I don't care. Watch it if you like it. Don't watch it if you don't, but don't boycott for social. Conservatives are falling, or people on the right who are against Black Lives Matter change are falling into the same trap that the other side fell into on the way into this social change. So, Amisha, shouldn't it be about the viewership and about the dollar and not about the social change?
I think it has to be about both, because you can't have a majority of your players be a member of a group that is continually feeling as though they are being treated as third-class citizens and expect that those individuals not stand up. They are still individuals. They are still Americans. They are still people who have a voice. And I think that it's high time that they do actually speak up and speak out, because for the longest, they felt like they had to keep their mouths shut and just play. These are men. Aside from the entertainment value they provide with their NFL or NBA exploits, they're also going home to communities that, for generations have been castigated and have been treated very badly by American citizens.
All right.
And I think that, they are voicing the exact action that they want to see happen now that they have the platform to do so.
Sebastian, you got 30 seconds, all yours.
Again, Amisha's in an alternate universe. They're not going home to communities that have been castigated. They're going home to their gated communities. These are millionaire players. And there's nothing brave about taking a knee. You're actually a coward if you take a knee, because you are giving in to the extortion of BLM. The bravery today is from those sportsmen and women who stand for our flag. These are snowflakes who are giving in to the SJWs. They are cowards, plain and simple.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Sebastian Gorka, Amisha Cross, always heated debate. Thank you. Coming up on America This Week, coronavirus has walloped the United States economy. But what does that mean for our nation's future? The former economic advisor for President Obama, Austan Goolsbee, is next. And while the media is laser focused on COVID, opioids continue to ravage America. Overdose deaths are on the rise again, killing more Americans over the last decade than COVID has. As you know, I'm a frontline warrior in the war on opioids, but I need your help fighting this great American killer. Donate now. Go to ericchasefoundation.org, and the first 19 to donate will receive one of my New York Times bestsellers. 100% of the proceeds go to the war on opioids and awareness. ericchasefoundation.org.
United we stand, we never fall. This perilous fight, it takes one and all. Everyone stands, American strong. Strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand, America. United we stand. We stand, America. United we stand. Ready to help, ready to serve. It takes everyone with steady nerves. Everyone stands, American strong. Strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand, America. United we stand. We stand, American strong. City by
We're kicking off August with some mixed reviews about the economy. The president constantly praises the climbing stock market numbers, but the latest report shows U.S. economy shrinking at a record-breaking rate. Joining me now to break it all down, the man who helped guide President Obama through the 2008 recession, my good friend, Austan Goolsbee. Thank you, Professor Goolsbee. Boy, I don't know, record stock prices, home prices on the rise, used car prices exploding on the upside, lots of demand out there. Pretty darn good Trump economy, no?
Well, I mean, the stock market's not the economy. The housing market, I like the looks of that. We had an excellent month on the job market for 1 month following the worst month ever. I'm hoping we get another good month. But, you know, Eric, you were a baseball guy. We let up 21 runs in the first inning, and now we've had one good inning in the second inning, but we got a long way. We're way behind. I mean, the economy is down like it's never been down, and so we got a long way to come out of this.
Austin, you forgot about the first 4 years, though. You forgot 4.5 years. You forgot some of the most impressive gains in not just the stock market, in wages, in home prices, in consumer confidence, in manufacturing. These were 4 solid years under President Trump that were doing very well. I mean, you can't really say it's Trump's fault that the coronavirus, put a halt to all that. I mean, and you know, I get you Democrats, you like to take some of the bad stuff and just own it. But look, he did oversee a massive downturn in the economy because of the virus, and he's just building it back.
Well, look, I would say two parts. One part I agree with, and I'm not like when you see some Democrats and they refuse to give President Trump any credit. My view is it was, before this, the longest boom in American history. And about 2/3 of that was under President Obama, and about 1/3 of that was under President Trump, and hats off to both of them, I always say. Now, COVID showed up, but it's hitting the U.S. way worse and hitting our economy far worse than it has hit any other advanced economy. And so that's why I think you cannot fault the president for there being a pandemic, but I think you can fault the response, which was downplay the severity of the issue and try to play up it will go away. We only have a handful of cases. It's locked down. Don't worry about it. It will disappear. I think that will prove to be a terrible mistake.
See, Professor Goolsbee, I gave you that opportunity. I told you about used car prices going up.
I appreciate that. I mean, you never gave me that much time before, Eric.
Well, you could have said President Trump's clearly the best used car salesman president we've ever had before, but you didn't take it. I'll hand it to you. 2021, whoever president, whoever it is, President Biden or President Trump, what do they have in store for them?
Well, it depends whether we get control on the spread of this virus. If we could get on the path, and I don't mean the vaccine. If we got a vaccine, whatever, by the end of this year, then I really feel like we could get back to where we were before the crisis began. But even if there is not a vaccine, you've seen many countries around the world, advanced countries at least, get control of the spread of the virus, and their economies have started coming back on a sustained basis. If we could get control of the spread of the virus, I think we could get quite a sustained recovery. If not, then whoever's there in January of 2021, whether it's Biden or Trump or, you know, who knows what, they're going to have to confront a really nasty situation because it will mean that millions of businesses will have shut down. A lot of the premise of our rescue and relief policy so far has been this is going to be a temporary thing. Yeah. And we're just going to hold our breath until the wave passes over. But like, if we're at the bottom of the pool, holding your breath is only a strategy that works for so long, and we're going to have to do something different.
Personally, Austin, I'm blown away. I'm shocked at the stock market. It feels like it's whistling past the graveyard. I see too many businesses closing, too much unemployment happening. But look, smarter people than me, big money on Wall Street is the one who are following numbers. I just need a two-word answer from you, Austin, very quickly. Who will Joe Biden pick as his VP candidate or his nominee, and who should he?
Yeah, these are the secrets. Now, I know a lot of the rumored candidates personally, and I'm big fans of all of them. I have always said that I don't think that the vice president matters that much for the ticket. I liked Joe Biden. I loved working with him when he was the vice president. But ultimately, the president is who's going to be who's going to be the decider there. So I gotta evade your question. Who do you think it's going to be?
I think it will be Kamala Harris, and it should be Michelle Obama. There we go.
Michelle Obama. Interesting.
Austan Goolsbee, thank you so much. Don't forget to set your DVR so you never miss an episode of this show, America This Week, or United We Stand. Go to Facebook.com/America Bowling, all one word. We have a complete list of times and cities there. You can also find our shows on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel right there.
America, one nation, from Florida to St. Louis to Seattle. America This Week, America's fastest growing political show, delivers facts, not falsehoods.
Well, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I appreciate the opportunity to clear some of it up.
Hard-edged opinions.
We can no longer rely on China to be the primary producer of so many critical products that we need at a time of crisis.
Tough topic debates.
Has the mainstream media vetted Joe Biden the way they vetted others on the right?
I just believe that all women have the right to speak their truth and that those truths should also be investigated. The end, regardless of what political party they are a part of.
America This Week reveals the topics and issues that pulse throughout America. Fighting COVID-19.
We're working with every single state to be able to detect outbreaks before they spread into the community.
And the path forward.
Getting back to some degree of normality, that will come. We will get over this.
America This Week investigates chaos at the southern border.
Go, 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 go.
The poisoning of America.
It's in the soils, it's in the water, and it's in our blood.
Toxic chemicals linked to multiple cancers found in towns across America.
We were poisoned, and we are still poisoned.
Almost every day, there is a new community that is finding out that their water is contaminated.
America This Week relentlessly seeks the truth on your behalf.
I'm Eric Bolling. Join me for a fascinating look at America This Week. Former Vice President Joe Biden is zeroing in on his future running mate. Joining me now is the former Deputy National Press Secretary for the Democratic Party and political commentator, my friend, Jose Aristimuño. Welcome, Jose. Gracias for coming on. Jose, Biden has announced that he's not going to Wisconsin to accept the nomination for the party. Is this a precursor to Biden saying, I'm not going to show up to the presidential debates?
Look, I mean, it might be, might not be. But what I can tell you is obviously with what's happening with COVID-19 and what's happening with Corona, we got to make sure we take all the precautions necessary. I will say, though, in regards to the debates, from a strategy point of view, it's actually not a bad idea. I mean, look, you know the points from President Trump. You know the points from Joe Biden. You're going to go debate against a liar. You're going to go debate against a wall of lies, right? So it's hard to win an argument when you have someone who's just going to lie on television. And we've seen this from the president from day one. You know it because, you've seen him time and time again, Eric, when he says that Joe Biden wants to defund the police when you know that it's not true. You see it time and time again when he said that former President Obama wasn't born in America. So, debating a liar is a tough game.
But I will tell you, debating shows what your mettle is, what you're made of, and I'll never forget that interchange between Hillary Clinton and candidate Trump on that stage. And his line was, "Yeah, because you'd be in jail," and it was off the cuff. And I think it really swayed a lot of voters, saying, "Wow, this guy can think on his feet, can make a decision on his feet." There's a lot of people who are questioning Joe Biden's mental facilities right now, and I think a debate would clear a lot of that up, one way or the other.
Look, I understand that, and that's, I mean, again, I'm not speaking for the campaign in any means. If they want to debate, go ahead and debate. I know that Vice President Biden will beat President Trump in a debate any day. So it's not an issue that, that I'm concerned for the vice president to not be presidential on the debate. It's just, again, there's not going to be a referee per se, or maybe, the host or what have you, but they got to make sure if there's going to be a debate, it's got to be fair. We got to make sure that they're not afraid to say, that's a lie, Mr. President. You're lying right now on television. That's not true. So again,
Jose, that's a slippery slope when you're asking moderators to fact check the two candidates or the two nominees, party nominees on the fly. That's a tall order, and that gets into a little bit of a gray area. What if they're mistaken, and will it be biased? But Jose, I only have about a minute or so, and I want to get this in here. We're having a little bit of fun here. Who will Joe Biden pick? Who will Joe Biden pick for his VP choice, and who should he pick, do you think?
Well, look, he already committed that he's going to choose a woman. I'm almost certain, and I'm hopeful he's going to choose an African-American woman. I think it's about time we get an amazing woman, African-American woman, to be in the second highest position of the land. We deserve that as a people. I think it's time to do it. Who it is, who is it going to be? I'm not going to make that choice for him. We have a bunch of amazing women on the ticket, or the potential ticket. We got Kamala Harris, and we got Stacey Abrams, and among others. Right? They're all going to be great. I can tell you, we're going to beat this president. We're going to take back the White House, no matter who the vice president is going to be.
All right, Jose Aristimuño, we're going to say thank you very much.
Always a good time, Eric.
Every week we honor first responders who died in the line of duty protecting our great country. Michigan State Trooper Caleb Starr died last month, 3 weeks after his vehicle was hit head-on by an intoxicated driver. Trooper Starr was responding to a call when it happened. He is survived by his wife and 2 children. Police officer Jason Judd with the Peoria Police Department in Arizona was killed in a motorcycle crash last month. He had just finished a demonstration for the Youth Citizen Police Academy camp when it happened. Officer Judd was a U.S. Air Force veteran and served the police department for 21 years. He leaves behind his wife and 2 sons. Rest in peace, officers.
United we stand, we never fall. This perilous fight, it takes one and all. Everyone stands, American strong. Strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand, America. United we stand. We stand, America. United we stand. Ready to help, ready to serve. It takes everyone with steady nerves. Everyone stands, American strong. Strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand, America. United we stand. We stand, American strong. City by city, state by state, town by town, stand American great. Everyone stands American strong. When strength by one equals strength by all. American values, American pride. Your neighbor needs you, each person, each time. We stand America. United we stand. We stand America. United we stand.
Did you know you can watch America This Week on the go? Download the Stir app straight to your smartphone. It's 100% free TV. It's streaming 24/7. America This Week airs every Sunday at 9 a.m. and again at midnight on your local Stir City channel, channel number 1, on your smartphone or on your TV, on Roku, Apple TV, and others. Plus, you can check out all of our best interviews on the app. Every show is at your fingertips, and it's 100% free all the time. It's about time for us to wrap it up from the D.C. swamp. Thanks again for joining us this week. Hurricane and then later tropical storm Isaias slammed the East Coast and in some places sparked tornadoes. Check out this video from Anthony Brooks showing a twister near Ocean City, New Jersey. We hope everyone stays safe. Have a great night, everybody. See you next week.